Welcome, everybody. Can you just give us a comment just to let us know if you can see and hear us okay? Apologies for we're a couple of minutes delay, a few technical issues. It's been a while since we've done this. So just let us know if you can see and hear us. We got Gemma, we got Chris. I know people are watching, but can you hear us? That's the most important thing. Looks like we've got a bit of a delay on there. Give us some likes and loves as well, guys, because it would be good to send out the kind of algorithm, if such a thing exists, to let people know that we're back. We're doing this on a Tuesday lunchtime at 1 o'clock and it's live. So Sylvia says that's good, didn't miss anything. Emma says all good this end. Hayden, hello. UK market is popping off. We're going to be talking about that today for sure. Yes, everyone's here. Amazing. Good to see everyone. But yeah, we always talk about the streaming. Johnny and I are in a constant constant debate, aren't we, about should we pick something else? Should we use a different type of streamer? Should we do this? Should we do that? But I'm that person. When I get used to something, I don't want to change anything. I hate change. And I figured out how to use this and Johnny hasn't. So I don't want to change it now.
Yeah. I think it's just, for me, I would like to interact with everyone a bit more and put the comments up on here. And obviously, if we move back to YouTube, we can get that, and maybe that is the play. Is we stream this to YouTube, start streaming live on YouTube. Maybe. I don't know who's watching. Would you like to see this on YouTube? Is that a preferred device? Because then you can watch it on, Chromecast and Fire Stick, etc., and your smart TVs. So I guess we'll debate that, right? Like whether we do that.
I think it was one of those things that was kind of top of the list at the end of the summer, to be able to get done and sorted for Q4, but life got in the way and had a funny way of showing things. But so it is something we'll have a look at and we'll continue to ponder, and I will continue to fight. No, I'm only joking, because I do want to get those interactions. So let's jump in with everyone. Gareth, Chris, Aswaz, Luke, Leon. Hayden says Riverside is epic. So there we go. That's a good suggestion. I know that's used a lot for podcasts and things like that. So I think that's the one Tom uses, if I remember rightly. I'm not sure.
It is. It's a StreamYard competitor, essentially. Ooh. So that wouldn't fix our problem.
Oh, because
our problem is actually where it's streamed to. It's Facebook groups. There's no natural API integration anymore, so you have to go through some hoops. Mm-hmm. Essentially, StreamYard now acts as like a virtual camera for the Facebook Live, if that makes sense. So it's not actually using the actual abilities of StreamYard anymore. So it makes StreamYard a little redundant, actually.
It does.
For Facebook groups.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, no, I was going to say, when I had to change the settings to come on here, it actually had this big warning saying, like, it's not us, it's them kind of thing. This is why you can't do this anymore. But we'll come up with a suggestion anyway. So Chris says Facebook is good for me for a live stream. If I miss them, then I can watch them on YouTube another time. That's what I like personally. The replay, by the way, if this is the first time you're joining us, which I wouldn't be surprised, we've had so many new members join over the summer. So welcome. Great to have you here. And what I've always loved is doing the live stream here in Facebook, and then anyone that can't catch it live, then they can catch it on YouTube on the replay. So we'll always post a replay within around 24 hours so if you didn't get a chance to catch up with us live, if you can attend live, because it's the opportunity to ask questions, to be able to talk about the latest topics on Amazon. But to be honest, it's just good to be back. We've been on hiatus for summer, a little longer than we had anticipated due to personal reasons. I'm obviously not the majority of you guys know what's happening in my life with my daughter's cancer diagnosis. So it's that's the reason we've not been here. But one of the biggest goals was to be able to get back to this as quickly as possible, because one, I know how much people enjoy it, but selfishly, it's always been my favorite thing to do. It's always been 100% my favorite thing to do. So I wanted to get back to it as quickly as possible. So we're here now. We have got Johnny's joining us today, and we're going to talk a bunch of things today. We're going to talk about bundles, going to talk about section 3s, Q4 sales. want to talk a little bit about HFSS as well, which I surprised Johnny with just beforehand, because I'm seeing a little bit more of HFSS than I was anticipating at the moment.
I know why, because the second legislations just came into place, right? Because it was a staggered. HFSS was always staggered, wasn't it?
Yeah,
As
it
in,
was.
like,
Yeah,
stuff comes out last year,
yeah, they
second stage
delayed some
comes
of it.
out this year. So the second stage is now in. So that's probably why. Okay. Be
Yeah.
interesting to talk about that. For sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It won't be a long conversation because there's not a lot you can do about it, to be perfectly honest. But we'll cover that, because if people are going to start seeing it more, then there obviously needs to be a little bit more awareness. And I've been asked a couple of times this week, why has my bundle or why has my listing been taken out of advertising? They're saying I'm breaching something. We'll cover that. So I want to get as much covered as possible. So hi guys, throw any questions at us as you can. I'll keep an eye on the comments as we go through. We've got Kai. Russ says he's going to join us while it's raining. What is with this weather at the moment? It is like either pure sun, or I don't know if it's the effect of all the incredibly bad weather that's going on obviously over in the US, and we're getting any sort of consequences of that. One of our Amazon sellers, Paul's out there at the moment, so wishing he's okay. And obviously if you're watching us from that sort of east coast of Florida or west coast of Florida or Florida, please stay safe. I can't imagine anyone is watching us from there, but obviously please stay safe if you can, because it's going to be pretty treacherous. Russ has just come back, so dodged the bullet there. Yeah,
got lucky with the timing, because I was in Florida 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
4 weeks ago. Yeah,
it's hard. This is the optimal time, before we had kids, and when we had kids that before they attended school, we would always go in the changeover between Halloween and Christmas, but we'd always make sure we go as close to the end of October as possible, start of November, because you really catch the tail end of the hurricane season, and it intensifies obviously the longer it goes on with the hurricanes. So it's really important to try and avoid it as much as possible. So Disney World, I believe, is shutting down tomorrow and Thursday, which it takes a lot for Disney to close the doors. So it's pretty serious stuff. So stay safe for sure if you are impacted or know anyone that is impacted. Didn't think I'd be talking about that, but there we are, for sure.
The Hive is a group of online sellers. We specialize in Amazon. We're a network, we're a community, and we're all about bringing success to everybody through expert content and resources that you just can't get anywhere else.
The Hive has SOPs, documentation, short videos, clips, long form videos, over the shoulder videos. It has everything you need.
Both for beginners and advanced sellers.
I mean, I probably thought that I knew quite a lot about the selling on Amazon in general, but then when I joined the Hive, it was almost like I only knew 10%.
We keep everything so up to date knowledge, up-to-date strategies.
Natalie, Matt and Johnny will just explain how it works in normal English.
The best part of being in the Hive is a community.
Any question you have, you can put it in the Hive.
And you can get just problem solved so fast.
You can ask a question, there's an answer there within 5 minutes.
We are confident that you are receiving the best level of content out of any training and resource group in the world.
I think I've spent 3 months over the last year in America, so I feel a little bit on that side of the pond now. I'm more getting more Americanized.
More Americanized.
It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back.
I know you have been the epitome, definitely over the summer, of that digital nomad. So again, another conversation, but it's taken its toll, right?
Yeah, it's first world problems. It's too many holidays. I don't usually take holidays, but this year it's been holidays because it's been bachelor parties and group trips away. So the most first world problem ever is having too many holidays, where you're like, oh, I can't focus on my habits. So I don't want to complain about it too much. It's been fun. It's been fun, but it's nice to get back into a routine, for sure.
Yeah, no one feels sorry for you, Johnny. Absolutely not. So let's crack on. So like I said, we've got a few things that I want to talk about today, but throw your questions at us. And funnily enough, just like it was prompted, Chris has thrown his hat in the ring and said, can we end the silly tactics of the Section 3 in the UK that everyone keeps posting around? Not silly, I read that wrong. Skirt the tactics. I assume what you're talking about is the Everyone, we are in suspension season, essentially. So there is always a period of time before Q4 starts where Amazon and the bots go crazy. Happens every year, and generally it's, it can be for whatever reason. Last year it was definitely Section 3s. This year deactivations. Year before, whatever, your compliance documentations. They like to throw a spanner in the works around this sort of time. Well, when I say they like to, I don't think they do it deliberately. I think it's just a period and a process within their business where maybe they make adjustments and the changes need to be put into effect this time. But either way, they ruin our Q4 a lot of the time in some way, or it has an impact. So what gets my go straight on in there with what grinds my gears, what gets my go is this constant misrepresentation of what a Section 3 is, what a suspension, what a deactivation is. Now, it is quite evident that Amazon is on it at the moment with regards to all of these deactivations, suspensions, and Section 3 notices. But know the difference between all of them, guys. A Section 3 is not a deactivation or a suspension. Section 3 is exactly what it says on the tin. It is Section 3 of Amazon Seller Terms of Service or policy. So you could be deactivated or suspended as a result of what is in Section 3. Okay, so that is what Section 3 is. Now, when we refer to what hasn't helped, I think, is the language around Section 3 came around about 12 months ago when myself and, a lot of other sellers, hundreds, possibly thousands sellers were impacted in the US with what has now become known as a Section 3, which is a review of your account under what is written in Section 3. So again, it's generally not a deactivation or a suspension. It could end up in that. But what it's saying is when you get a Section 3 review, Amazon's saying you've been a little bit naughty on your account. You probably haven't, to be honest. So what we want to do is we just want to confirm. We just want to double check what has gone on and to check you're doing everything legitimately. You might have to attend an interview. You'll generally have to supply chain documentation, yada, yada, yada. We've got a guide. We've got a guide that covers this in the group. If you want it, download it. It's in the pin section. Really helpful, really informative. Okay. And it's about confirming the supply chain to Amazon. So that's the difference between the two. Now, a Section 3 review could result. If you do not pass the review, it likelihood will end in a deactivation or a suspension. But also there's a difference between the two. Suspension, you're more likely to get the account back. Deactivation, it's going to be harder. It's going to be more of a struggle. Doesn't mean you won't, but it's not going to be a quick fix. That's the way you've got to look at it ultimately. I would say for a deactivation, I really don't think, Johnny will probably disagree with me on this, I think you have to engage professional help for a deactivation nowadays. I think you've got to. I just think with the language and the way that they do the appeals, if you don't know what you're saying, you can shoot yourself in the foot.
Oh, we get our money's worth with Sellerbasics for sure. We don't do any sort of appeal or anything, or unless we go through them, because they're going to be better than us at doing it. So yeah, absolutely. Because I believe the more appeals you make, it reduces your chances of getting your accounts back.
Yeah.
So like you want to make sure your first appeal is your the very best you can make it to not reduce the chances of getting your account back. So absolutely agree.
Yeah, don't rush, guys. So the biggest mistake people make, I really do truly believe in any of this, whether it's a Section 3 review, deactivation or suspension, people panic and put a shoddy ass kind of appeal in straight away that just gets, you press send and you might as well just have the bots come straight back and just reject it. I don't know anybody that gets it through first time, unless it's a verification. We got our Section 3 verification because we were given 10 days to sort it out. Of course, if you're given 48 hours, it's a different, this is new. This is something Amazon like doing at the moment. I've seen as low as they've given someone 12 hours to sort it out. So if you're given time, that's a different story. But if it is open-ended, or you certainly have a period of, say, 7 days plus, take your time. Okay, there is no need to rush. It will not make any difference as to the overall outcome of your suspension, deactivation, or Section 3 review. It's better to get it right, get it in first, than it is, get it right than get it in first. So I think that's a really important, statement to make. But what is good is we have Joy next week from Sellerbasics coming on Beyond the Buy Box. So I couldn't agree more. I think they're one of the best companies out there for handling this stuff. They have a huge client base. So it's a really great opportunity, guys, to get on. You don't have to, you know us here. We don't sell services. We don't, have huge affiliate deals or sponsorships or anything like that. We like to give everybody an open platform, unless you're an arsehole, which we won't. But we like to give everyone an open platform. And, if you and it's a chance for you guys to hear what these people have got to say, ask them questions, see what their face is like. Well, not see what their face is like, but check they're a real person. And that gives people, we want to give people the opportunity with Joy next week. Sellerbasics, like I said, they have a huge client base, so it's a really good opportunity. Even if you do not intend on taking the service, good chance to ask a real expert in the area, some of who's got a wide depth of knowledge in so many different clients, a good chance to ask live questions and get those questions answered. So I will remind at the end of this, because she's American, she's in Chicago, as I think she said she was in Illinois, Chicago. We are going to be swapping the sessions in the day. So we're going to be 7 p.m. for Beyond the Buy Box next week. And if you are a Hive member, we should be 1 o'clock with our Hive Live. So I'm just swapping those two, just to accommodate our American guest.
As we always do. As we always do.
Yes, as we always try to do, definitely. So Al, if you're watching from SAS, I'm really, and Alison, sorry, I didn't offer that to you guys. Sorry. I will in future. I will in future if you come back, I promise.
So speaking, I was going to say, speaking of Americans, like what you said about don't rush into appeals is so important. And I was watching a Tim Ferriss video, and he always says, make before you manage. And he says that anything that's time sensitive, there's always 60 minutes before something is time sensitive. So just think before doing an appeal. Don't just like rush it and respond, because that's the worst thing you can do. Definitely take your time. I got to stress that importance, because it's just the amount of times I've done it in the past where I've just rushed an email back because of like emotions. I was like, this is so annoying, and I write email straight back rather than thinking about it. It's never a net positive, in my opinion.
Absolutely not. If you can always sleep on it, please do. What looks like something the day before has a very different perception the next day. I think as I've got older, as I've matured as a person and in business, I think that is one of the biggest things that I've recognized is, one, not to respond with emotion, or respond quickly. Always think about things, take your time. There is nothing generally in life that requires an immediate response, unless it's a medical emergency or something like that. The majority of things can be slept on. So, and that applies in personal life and business as well. So just the final clarification on Section 3 and the misuse of that word. The other thing is, so now you know the difference, obviously, between all three guys, but also note that Section 3 reviews generally, as far as I'm aware, and I don't know the whole UK and Amazon, selling market, unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, I have not seen any evidence that those Section 3 reviews have come to the UK. They are a US specific compliance issue or account health issue. So unless anyone wants to provide me with evidence, To the contrary, I have not seen any evidence that anyone has been asked to do that in the UK. So if you're a guru, if you are someone that, talks to an audience, runs a community, something like that, please be aware of the language that you're using, because a Section 3 is something that is very different to a deactivation and a suspension. So it's just about, that awareness. And I know, Chris, that is what he was talking about in terms of, has it come to the, because when people say, oh, Section 3's in the UK, to me as a US seller, that's something that's very different. So it's just about clarifying the definition of which each one of those are. But as far as I'm aware, Section 3 review has not come to the UK. I've not seen anybody been held up on that, having their funds held, and they're going through any type of supply chain verification, other than what you would normally on an account health issue, like a counterfeit, an IP claim, trademark, something like that. But yeah, Hayden's right. It happens more in the US because it's a legal obligation. I think Amazon have to show that they enforce stuff. So, it's like a compliance thing more than anything else. So, and again, Hayden's absolutely right. There's a lot of court cases going on in America at the moment. And Amazon, I really do think is, depending on what happens in the US with the elections next month, Amazon could very well be a very different place and a different marketplace in the next 3 years, depending on who is sworn in the US. Because if a certain Mr. Trump gets in, it will be a very different story to Ms. Harris. So we shall follow that one and wait and see what happens.
I'm curious. What's the sort of differences?
Well,
do you know much?
Yeah, Mr. Trump is very much about American commerce and making America great again and everything like that. But I think they're both very. I don't think they both equally like Amazon's monopoly on the market. God, I can't put my teeth back in. I don't think they both like that, but I think Trump has a more American idolization, as in he wants to get rid of a lot of the Chinese sellers and block out a lot to do with that, whereas I think the Biden and the continued Biden administration are very much more about breaking Amazon up. They think they're too big for their own good. So yeah, I think there'll be consequences either way. Some will be more positive than others, but we shall wait and see what happens with regards to that.
So adding like tariffs to Chinese imports and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember the last time he was in office, he made a speech about, and he is right, no matter what people think of him, there is no argument. He says, I don't understand how somebody can send a package from China to get to me on the same day, and it can cost a third of what I could send to a package to someone in the US in the next town.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy, isn't it?
So that's his, he's for the American entrepreneur, he's for the, American business. So I think, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what happens with regards to that. But that's why it's good Beyond the Buy Box is back. We can discuss it as and when. Yeah, absolutely. Just want to keep on top of the comments, guys. Everyone's coming in, so I'll just go through and read. So Mark says, I've been deactivated. I've sent everything that they've asked for, yet they come back saying I haven't given them enough information. Not sure what else I can do. The quickest tips we can give there, Mark, which are ones I think I've already given to you, is making sure that you're talking to account health, seeing if you manage to get hold of that person that can just give you that little breadcrumb, to find out a little bit more of what is needed. If you have been deactivated due to supply chain and verification of that, it is literally about supplying everything you can, digging deep and going back as far as you can in that supply chain, seeing if you can get letters of not authorization. You don't need it for that for supply chain, but ensuring that if you are buying from a wholesaler, has that wholesaler, where do they buy from? Getting that confirmed, putting it in an email, getting extra, you know, if they're checking on supply chain from someone, a really good tip is to get on their chat or send them an email and say, can I confirm that you are an authorized, can you confirm whether you are an authorized supplier of this particular product? So it's just getting that extra confirmation. But the most important thing is the ability of Amazon to be able to get hold of that supplier to confirm it. So I saw this posted in the group just this last week where someone said Amazon don't really call and confirm. They do. They absolutely do. They will ring up and they will say, we're Amazon. We've had some complaints about a product. We need to check the authenticity, and they will have the right words that they are using to scare whoever they're talking to into, you could get sued here, guys. You better give us the information we need. Believe me, they are very bullish with it. So they will use that. So you have to make sure that you are supplying the right contact details for them to be able to get hold of. But as silly as it sounds, Mark, unfortunately, it's a case of there is something they feel they're missing. And they're not going to tell you what it is either, unfortunately. So but it also could be wording. Could be the wrong wording. So jump on next week, Mark. I mean, let's hope you get it resolved before then, but jump on next week and hopefully Joy can expand on that a little bit more in terms of things that you know, might be able to help. But Johnny and I are not suspensions experts, and you know, we've both been through it. We've both, you know, come out the other side of it in various different ways, but it's not the same as people that do it day in, day out, dealing with lots of different cases and lots of different reasons, right?
Yeah, because they're probably dealing with a similar case at the same time, and they understand the right wording to get it through, etc. And they also, good thing about Sellerbasics is they would always contact the brands for you, and so if you ever get an IP infringement, they will always contact them to ask them to remove it. It's just little touches like that, which are really, really nice. Is this suspension in America or UK?
I think with markets, US. I think.
US.
I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Noreen's the same. She's in the same boat as well. So fingers crossed that's the case of a new submission will be successful. It's a hard grind, guys. It really is.
US is more strict as well. US is just way more strict. Yeah.
100%. We've had a deactivation and a Section 3 review in the US, and I am amazed we got through ours in the speed and time that we did. Yes, one could argue that we were prepared, and you know, we had what we needed to, because we always have done. But at the same time, I think it's got tighter. I really do. I think it has. And we go through peaks and troughs with Amazon. And I talk about this in the Hive. I talk about this in videos, talk about everything. We go through periods of time where Amazon feels it's more riskier than not.
It's not even Amazon. It's the FDA cracking down. I think it's what surrounds Amazon and like the lawsuits like you're saying. And yeah, agents are telling me that the FDA are way hotter now than they were before. During COVID, they were a bit more relaxed, but now they're really, really strict. And that's why I've always advised people, don't just send food without knowing the food facility number, because that's going to get you in trouble. And I just think, I think there's something that changed with health and beauty or premium beauty recently in America.
Premium beauty in America. America is definitely the more risky market. Yes, it's 12 times bigger. There's bigger rewards when it comes to selling in the US, but it's definitely a riskier market. So you definitely need a stable UK business, I believe, to be able to sell in the US. If anybody has all of their eggs in a US basket, I've said it for years. I think it's a mistake. Personally, I think it really is. I think it's not asking for trouble, because obviously I don't want anyone going through it, but I really do think it's ill-advised to just be reliant on that one market. And I see so many people do it. They get tempted by the shiny lights of the 12x sales, and they're like, no, F this shit. I'm off to the more sales of the US. But it's a riskier market. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So Mark said made 3 appeals, went down 23rd of September. Yeah, well, fingers crossed, Mark. Like I said, try and hang around for try and make that live next week. I really do think you and anyone that's going through it at the moment is going to benefit massively from being live. Don't think, oh, okay, I'll watch the replay. You guys need to be on that live to be able to ask the questions. And I know you guys are going through it, so I'll do my best to prioritize your questions and make sure that we can get those answered for you.
I mean, I'm just reading Mark, and it said that it was Yes Style from Hong Kong, and that might be a case of just admitting fault, right? That's the thing where you need to speak to the experts, but sometimes you might just be as like, look, put your hands up and be like, I made a mistake, and just almost beg to get back.
And the experts know how to do that one. They know how to admit, absolutely. They know how to admit. But the issue with Stylevana and Yes Style is there is no contact details. So that's why it can't be verified. And it's not a case of Amazon will go through it and they'll be like, oh darn, I can't ring them up to verify it. It's just the fact that there's no number there. They will decline it. It's not that they're actually going to do it. It's just the fact that there is no number there to be able to do it. So I've seen a few, Mark, I know that you've seen these anyway, but I've seen a few numbers being bandied about. And but again, it's due diligence. These are the questions you got to ask before. I'm easing back into things. First, it was the Hive doing this, working with people directly again. And YouTube will be my next stage of getting back into it. But one of the first videos that I'm absolutely going to make is about due diligence in Amazon in 2004 in terms of what you need to survive nowadays. And this will be minimal. Okay, so this will be, if you don't do this, you're at risk. Okay, it's not ever anything that's going to guarantee, but at the same time, you need to be able to draw on that information. And if you cannot get it, do not buy for them. It's as simple as that.
I always watch out for those sort of deals you get, which you see where it's a little bit like, I can't confirm where you're buying it from. And if you can't really confirm, then that's always a little risky. But yeah, that would make a very good video.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of pro and negative Trump going on there. We'll leave that one. We're not going to get drawn into that. So that's kind of what I want to discuss about Q3 section 3s. I'll have a quick chat about bundle rules, but I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm not going to talk too much about bundles on here or in Beyond the Buy Box. We will talk about it from a safety point of view. Absolutely. We'll always cover those things. If I find out anything that's going to put people's accounts at jeopardy, I will always let people know. But it is one of the main reasons why people do join the Hive. So it is one of those things. It's taken me years to build up the knowledge with regards to bundle stuff in the Hive. And, we've always tried to keep the community in the way that we have, because we work together as a community to solve problems and do things like that in relation to bundles. So, and I'm not picking out anyone in particular for saying this, but I do get people sliding into my DMs asking me, what they should do and what they shouldn't do with relation to bundles. And my answer is simply, I always try and help people as much as I possibly can. But at the same time, I have to protect the community that pays for that information. So the easiest way for me to now is to say that most of my bundle content, or 98.9% of it, will be through the Hive. If you want to do bundling in any form, I would 100% recommend joining the Hive. I think if you're bundling anywhere in the US or the UK and you are not part of the Hive, you're mental, to be perfectly honest right now, because we know we have the most up-to-date and latest information when it comes to it. Sorry, mental was probably a little bit of a harsh word there. Sorry, mad. We have the most up-to-date information. The course that I'm releasing at the moment and the training around that is all compliance based. So, we know how to source bundles. We know what we need to do for certain things. This new information that's coming through is compliance based, and it's designed to keep you as safe as possible with you know, the wave again, I might add, that is currently isolated to the US. Again, happy to be proven wrong if anyone's seen the evidence otherwise. And when I say evidence, I need to see evidence, not just because, you know, such and such from such and such group said it happened to them. You know, we need to see physical evidence of it happening. But ultimately, I'm afraid if you do ask me any questions about about bundling, what's safe, what isn't, I'm going to refer you to the Hive. It's as simple as that. For 99 quid a month, for the safety of your Amazon account, as much as possible. I can't guarantee anything, but knowledge is power. There's no doubt about it. You know, and I've had people say, oh, I'm doing 10 grand doing bundles. And then I've said, join the Hive. And they're like, oh, no, sorry. I'm part of too many communities already. And I'm like, okay.
Well, the right one for bundles.
Yeah, fine. Kind of. So and I'm not saying I know everything, because I absolutely don't. I'm quite open. There's a gap. There is a gap there's a gray area in bundling that no one can answer whether it's safe or not. So, but I do believe as working together with collectively the biggest UK bundlers going around, you're only going to find value there, if it makes sense. So, I don't want to talk too much about bundles moving forward. In here, the bundle conversation, what's good, what isn't, what works, what doesn't, what's safe, what's not, you know, that is unfortunately going to be isolated to the Hive. I just don't have, after my daughter's diagnosis, I don't have that much of me left to give, unfortunately, you know, where I can help every single person on DM. I just simply can't. And, you know, I have to draw the line somewhere. But if you want that information, it's in the Hive.
It's probably already been answered in the questions in our community as well, in the Hive. That's the thing. So, you know, join up and then you can actually just read through what everyone's asked, and that question's probably already been asked before, which is way worth more than what we charge.
And worst case scenario, it's tax deductible at the end of the day, guys. You know, that's it's a write-off. You're only going to pay it in tax otherwise. So, you know, I know I really don't want to use that as a selling point, but if you need to bring your brain to that to make it acceptable for you, then go for it for sure. So yes, there have been lots of changes in the bundle world, and all of the updated information is in the Hive. It's being, you know, dripped through as it stands at the moment, but it's something that we've been fully aware of for a long time. This isn't overnight for us. I've been saying it for 12 months plus. You know, what needs to change, what hasn't worked, what is going to be dangerous for the future, and things like that. So if you're not in the Hive, you probably feel like all this stuff is really new, but we've been talking about it for a long time there, for sure.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So latest comment saying UK is incredibly underrated. Unless you're doing well in the UK, I wouldn't go to the US. Yeah. For sure.
I agree. And that's Yanni, by the way. And that brings us nicely onto kind of Q4 sales, where I'm going to sort of pass the mantle over to you, Johnny, because like I said, there is this kind of resurgence a little bit kind of, I think, going on with the UK, where people sort of fell out of love with it. And I see a few people sort of mentioning, oh, maybe I was a bit hasty. Maybe I shouldn't have left the UK. Whereas people, you know, like yourself, who I think is the prime example of someone that, you know, that meme that you see on Facebook where the guy and the girl's walking together, and he sort of, and there's a hot girl walking in the other direction, and he sort of turns around and the woman's like, I feel that's the representation of Amazon UK versus US. It's like the visual representation of that. But you never allowed your head to be turned. And although you are moving into the US, that's only after you've grown your business to, you know, where it's so stable, right?
Yeah. I mean, our core is always going to be the UK, just because it's just so it runs without my input, actually. But also, just I think the actual average selling prices are going up. I think the margins are increasing, the volume's still there, and there's less competition. So I think it's the best time to be in the space is right now. I know there's also this all this scarcity and stuff like that, but actually it's very bullish on Amazon. And I think I've discussed this before, whether it's on the Hive or be on the buy box. But if there is a big recession or whatever people say, the Amazon's pretty safe with that, because people will still buy all these, like, well, especially like low FMCG stuff, which I sell. People still always will have that as a way to make themselves feel better. So it's always very recession proof. I was basically saying that like Cadbury's had their most profitable year during 2008. So retail always does pretty well during recessions and bad times. So it's a pretty safe business with less competition, with our margins are increasing. I'm very bullish on the UK right now. And I think in terms of sales, like, to be honest, we had such a good August. Last month we're down 5% actually, which is September, but still we're doing like $250,000 a month in the UK, which for us is really, really good. And hopefully this month will match that or increase. We'll see what happens with all our Cadbury milk trays and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff like
What's the phrase of that? The man, I don't know what it is. The man with
I'm not sure.
the milk tray or something. I don't know. But Johnny, tell us about your expectations for Q4. Now, I know that you're not a big seasonal person. Your business is very consistent, but obviously where you are, being one of the top 250 or whatever that figure is, sellers in the UK in terms of volume, what are your expectations for this Q4 for your own business and where you see it as the wider market?
I think it's going to be the strongest Q4 we've had. You know, again, I put that chart up where you look at the sort of the growth of the marketplace as a whole versus the amount of the average number of sellers, and that is super strong. So my expectations is I think it's going to be the best Q4 ever. I mean, HFSS sort of stage 2 coming into play. I'm not sure how that's going to affect sort of the chocolates and the seasonal stuff like that. We'll see, but I'm not really in that field too much anyway. But in terms of just, I think business is just pretty strong. I think it's such a good time to be in. Like, I don't know how else to comment really, rather than saying if you're not going pretty heavy on Q4 in the UK, I think you're making a bad decision. I think it's where it's at right now. I think it's
Depending on you know, obviously side of the business, though, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, during like COVID, obviously everyone was talking about Amazon and everyone got into it, but I'd say we're almost close to that level now of how good the UK is, just because of how little the competition is versus the market. It's very nice. It's a nice place right now. I don't know how other people are doing on an FBA, but
yes, a lot safer than the US. There is no doubt about it, and I'll have a proper row with anyone that says it's not, because it is.
Yeah, but they can't complain. I think Hayden made a comment saying that how incredible the UK is right now, and I think it is. I think a lot of the more experts in the space seem to all move, not experts, but the people more who've been in the game for a few years, a lot of them moved to the US, it seemed, which obviously opens a gap for the UK and to take their market share. And I feel that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're taking a lot of the market share from other competitors, and I think that's also due to sort of the way we've handled our debt as well. And that's obviously a bit different and a bit more boring to speak about, but the way we've handled our finances and our lending, our debt, we've done a really good job of it, where our debt ratio is so low. And obviously I look at our competitors, company houses and stuff like that, and they're in a bit of problems. And obviously the DD+7 is now in place as well. So if you have the money and the finances, I would go hard, because you know that your competitors, they probably won't have the same financing as they did last year. So if you're in a good spot financially with money to spend it all.
Yeah, go for
sure.
And it's really interesting. No, I was going to say, I remember when we did our Hive Live actual in-person event at the start of this year, you stood up and you spoke about that in detail. And what you had said at the start of the year has 100% come true, that there was going to be so much opportunity for those that positioned themselves well through streamlining, through making the right decisions, that this Q4 was going to be a huge one for anyone that put themselves in that position. So Johnny Guru is 100% right. So We need to do a live in-person event again for you to get your crystal ball out and make your predictions this year.
Well, everything's just lined up perfectly. And I know for a lot of people, it's a struggle because a lot of the old benefits, like the instant disbursements, have gone away. And that's obviously sucks. I don't believe. Yeah, and I don't believe in that, but I also, at the same time, I've always been on the new system, which is +7. So I've always had that. So for me, it's never been a shock. But the people who do that have that, and that's my competitors. They have an edge over me. And I've never liked that they have that edge. And I get it. Like, they've been on the platform for a while. And I think it should always be like that, where they should give your funds straight away. I definitely agree. I think Amazon should give your funds straight away. But I never liked that they had an edge over me. And I feel like with Amazon lending going away, the interest rates are still quite expensive from third-party lenders. A lot of people going to America. The average selling price on Amazon is at, Smart Scout, Scott Needham did a blog post last week how Amazon inflation, the inflation of the sales price is higher than actual inflation. So Amazon selling prices are higher than, are trending more than actual real inflation.
I wonder
that
if
is
that's
super bullish.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why Amazon are back on it in the US in particular about the price increases and gouging, because we've seen some warnings and deactivations going out about price increases. So people being bullish on their prices, that's something to be aware of if we didn't have enough problems at the moment. We won't talk about that today. I'm going to save that to talk about with Joy. Let's just go back and talk about a couple of questions from Rimas, which are... Oh, Daniel said, did he just say $250 a month? Yes, he did. Absolutely. And yeah, about this new compliance. So it was like, honestly, I just said I'm not going to answer any questions about bundles. And then the next question that comes in, no, I'm only joking, because this is not actually related to bundles as such. It's loosely related. So what this is from the 30th of September, and I understand the wording has confused people on this. So from the and I actually think this is a good thing, by the way. So from the 30th of September, as Amazon has basically said, if there is any listing that is created on the Amazon catalog moving forward and compliance documents are required, so it's not related to bundles, it's related to all new listings created. And compliance documents will need to be supplied at the time of listing, otherwise they won't go live. So think about it from selling a toy point of view. Around this sort of time, Amazon normally go a bit hot on compliance documents, and any DOCs that have not been uploaded to the account, they start asking, or the listing, they start asking for them. They can ask for them at any time, but now is a particular hot time they do. What they're trying to avoid is to stop that moving forward, that a product can no longer not be listed on Amazon without said compliance documents. So it is a pain, but it's just a new normal. It's an adjustment, guys. I just think this is a good thing moving forward overall, because what's worse, being blocked that you can't do anything at the start before you've even got the stock, or selling it for a couple of months, replens with a wholesale order, and you've spent $2,000, and then all of a sudden they say, oh no, we need to remove this listing because we got compliance documentation that needed. So I actually think in the long term it's good for sellers, because that risk ultimately hopefully should be removed. In the short term, yes, it's a bit of a pain point, but compliance documentation is something I am covering as part of the new bundle training, and how you can cover your backside for that as much as possible in the new bundle training in the Hive. So it's not about bundles, but bundles will be affected if you are creating new listings. But compliance documentation is not required in all categories and all sub niches. It's generally only advised, in anything that requires safety certification. So toys, medical devices, certain areas of topical beauty, and I think what's one of the other, I can't remember, but it's mainly toys, medical devices, and health and personal care beauty. So yeah.
Are you just out of curiosity, are you starting to send more stock into the US? Have you had the time to, and obviously
yes, so with everything that's been going on with my daughter, we had a bit like you. It was like a series of unfortunate events, but like no one feels sorry for me up until the diagnosis. We had a period where we were just living our best lives, holidays, holidays, holidays. And our business in the US, which is very outsourced, could handle that up until that point. But when we got back from our holidays, almost immediately, our daughter became sick. And at the point we got back was when the point we needed to pull our finger out and start working again and stop living our best lives. And it didn't happen, unfortunately. My daughter got sick. We were in hospital for, a month. And without a doubt, she became our first priority. So I couldn't have worked in that period of time, nor could my husband, Matt. It was to be told that your daughter has got cancer and, all, but it's not even that. It's not even the mental side of it. It's the inconvenience of frigging cancer. There is nothing convenient about cancer. It is horrendous in terms of hospital appointments, and you can't say no. It's like they say, could you come to Southampton Hospital at 5 to 5 on a Friday afternoon, which you wouldn't go anywhere in a major city at 5 to 5 on a Friday afternoon. It's it take you hours to get there, hours to get home, but you got to do it. You can't say no. So it's really been about bringing that back in. Long story short, we probably started overall from the start. We wrote the summer off and we started back up fully mid sort of August, with the selling side of the business, and it's rolling well. So but we very much operate just in time. We do not send huge stock loads of individual ASINs to the US because it is just, you're asking for trouble. If you do that, we would rather go out of stock. It's actually better to pay a low inventory stock fee, go out of stock, than it is, to keep high levels of stock, to be perfectly honest. So back on it and looking forward with trepidation to hopefully a good Q4, because we had that section 3 in the middle of Q4 last year. So come on, guys, give me a break.
Yeah. And I don't want to diverge too much, but obviously America just had the port strikes, which would have had a huge impact on the economy. But they delayed it till January. But like, we had a container in America, and they were like, we can't send it. Luckily, it's been delayed. But like, when it got delayed, they're like struggling, knowing what to do. And like, there would have been a chance where we wouldn't have got that container for a while, and that would have put just imports, exports to an absolute halt. That would be really horrible. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what? The thing about selling in the US as well, again, I literally just made a TikTok video about this, but it's about a different subject. Oh, by the way, follow me, Natalie, at, what am I? Natalie Buybox. Natalie Buybox on TikTok. So I'm just finding my way. I'm making a few silly videos at the moment, but I'm just testing the market just to see. And interestingly enough, it is possible for me to make a 90-second video. Who would have thought? So it takes me about 4 hours to edit it down to that, but there we are. So quick thing, anyone that's watching, let me know in the comments if you are selling in the US. Did you have a crap day yesterday? We did, personally. And because I'm just wondering, with all the stuff that's going on with Hurricane Milton at the moment, if and obviously if, like, the state of Florida is pretty much under a 15-foot storm surge, how is that going to affect sales? I know it's only one state out of 50, but at the same time, there are major fulfillment centers in Florida, and I really do think that sales were impacted because of everyone in America is watching the progress of this hugely dangerous storm that's coming to the US. So it'd be interesting to hear what people's. We had one of the lowest days in sales we've had for a long time yesterday. So it'd be interesting to hear what other people's thoughts are. And definitely, I would say today, tomorrow, and Thursday will be on the lower side, I would have thought, on the sales, because I think Like Americans become obsessed with something. Like they will sit there and they will watch the progress of this storm for like 4 days beforehand. You know, when they're obsessed with weather, especially in Florida. Anyone that's been to Florida, you know that there's 5 minutes on a news channel updating people on the news, and then the next 25 minutes is about the weather report, the update. So just be interesting. Daniel says, Diddy dolls are selling well in the US. Well, that's going to become a collector's item in the future. I've got no doubts. So yeah, Cindy has posted the link there for my TikTok. If you could like try and find it organically, because apparently TikTok doesn't like it when you. But whatever, I don't care. I'm not there for the numbers. Essentially, apparently that's what I've read. I've fallen into the algorithm of all the things that work on TikTok now. I think it's a load of old crap, to be honest, but we'll wait and see. So yes, there will be a replay. So this will go on to YouTube. So that's interesting. US market port strikes, the effect of the previous hurricane, this hurricane, could that have an impact on sales over the next couple of weeks? Potentially, but nothing we can do about it, unfortunately.
Luckily, Americans love to spend, so it's always going to be okay.
And they spend like crazy. They are not as frugal as Brits are.
Oh, no.
They're like $25 for this pen. I'm in. It's they spend in a way that I've never personally experienced, but I think it depends on where you're shopping from as well. So it is what it is. Right. Any other questions? Let us know. We've hit 2:00. I know we're a few minutes late, so we'll carry it on. But the big announcement is 2 things to make you aware of. One, Joy from Sellerbasics is going to be joining us next week. She is American, so we'll get our American jokes out of the way. Before we'll do that today before she comes on next week. She's from Sellerbasics, and we're going to be talking about all things suspensions, deactivations, and Section 3 reviews. So we'll be talking about that. But because she's US based, we're going to be doing it next Tuesday evening at 7:00. So two points. We won't be on the buy box. Will be 7:00, and if you are a Hive member, that will be 1 p.m. Next Tuesday. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. And then secondly, we are going to be doing a free in this group, so not in the Hive. We are going to be doing a completely free Q4 Sourcing Masterclass that is going to be led by our fair Johnny, who is a master of keeper and somebody who can dive down deep into looking for and using that software to be able to identify seasonal sourcing. But I really do believe, even though it's going to be on seasonal sourcing, what people will be able to take away from it, you can apply all year round, obviously. It's good to it's good to tune in. Now, we are going to be doing that, and me and Johnny were messing around with the date, so I just want to confirm is this. So we're going to be doing that next Wednesday evening at 7:00. Okay,
that's the one. Yeah.
Next Wednesday evening at 7:00. Now, I haven't decided as yet whether it'll be a live stream here or whether or not it will be a Zoom link. I'm not 100% sure on that one. So we will confirm that at the time. Either way, I'll get that confirmed in the next couple of days and the invites will go out. If we do a Zoom link, I am not paying more than my 100-person limit on the on the people that can join the Zoom. So it might potentially be first come, first serve, but I don't know if 100 people will join live anyway as well. But people love a freebie, so you never know. So we just got to decide whether we do it here or whether we do it in Zoom. So if I put that out, it won't be a webinar, so you don't need to sign up to it or anything like that. But we just want to give as much value as possible. So obviously this is something people normally charge for. Johnny, you used to do these and you used to charge for them, right?
Yeah, I used to charge for them. I used to do them sort of weekly, but I do them obviously in the Hive sometimes. But yeah, this one's free, so it's definitely worth checking out. Get a little taste of it. Little taste
Yeah.
of it.
Get a big taste of it, and then we want to try and we're not going to do the same thing every single month or every couple of months, but we want to bring value to you guys. So we want to bring as much free stuff as we can, and have that clear differentiation between, look, we give you this stuff for free, you're welcome to be here for the free stuff, but we do also have the Hive as well, which we do charge for, and whatever you want to participate in is entirely up to you. So that's what it's going to be moving forward. And also we've got the new interview tips guide as well, which I've just done the free guide that is also in the pin section. So if you haven't downloaded that yet, then make sure you do. And that is all of my top questions that I asked for interviewing virtual assistants, and my killer question, and things to look out for, like red flags. And that has served me well in the hundreds of people that I have interviewed over the years and recruited. So hopefully you guys will find that helpful, and we're going to do more of those, aren't we?
Yeah.
Lots of different free guides and things like that, just to keep you guys informed as much as possible. I just saw Daniel's. Can we hear that American accent again? Sorry. That's a once in a lifetime.
You have to watch the replay on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, maybe I might get our lady that does our marketing to edit that out.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that'll win. I don't think that's going to win me any Oscars. Claire says, I used the free guide this morning when I interviewed my first VA. It was great. Thank you, Nat. Good. I always think with these things, if it helps just one person, I'm happy. And there we go. Claire, you are that one person, and it's helped. So that means when I hear that, I'll make some more in different subjects. So that's good. So that's what we're all about. It's great to be back. Like I said, genuinely, it feels like it's been a great session today, just catching up with Johnny. The MO of Beyond the Buy Box, we'll probably catch up with Johnny like once a month, something like that. The rest of the time it'll be guests. Sometimes it'll be people talking about their services, but there's never any obligation to buy, and I always try and squeeze out as much value for everyone as I can, even if you're not going to buy a service, but I got to let them plug it. That's the only reason they want to come on, to be honest. So got to be realistic about it. So it'll be guests. We'll be talking about lots of different types of businesses and lots of different subjects over Q4. So any questions, keep posting in the group. It's been a really lively place lately, so which is really good to see. And it's good to have everyone back and be back doing this. So remember, 7 o'clock next week for Beyond the Buy Box, and then 7 o'clock on Wednesday for the free Q4 Sourcing Masterclass. If you are a Hive member, we will see you at 7 o'clock tonight. Johnny is going to be talking about the benefits of registering for monthly VAT, which is a bit of a game changer if it applies to you, but otherwise we're just going to be talking through the benefits and whether or not it's something you should be considering in your business. So Johnny, thank you. Good to see you back in the UK.
It's good to be back. Good to be back. Looking forward to sort of putting my head down and working and playing some more golf. Obviously playing some more golf as well. But yeah.
Of course. So great to see everyone. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.